Hello fellow exiles. Today I'd like to share an Incinerate Tornado build with Chronomancer that cleared most endgame content on day 5 with roughly 20 divines of total investment. We can start running this as early as level 70 once the key pieces are in place. Compared to conventional triggered-based sorceress builds that need serious gear investment before they come online, this approach delivers meaningful damage much earlier and much cheaper, allowing us to accumulate currencies while we work toward our endgame goals. The trade-off is there. Clear speed is not top tier. The playstyle involves a couple of extra button presses, and the scaling ceiling is limited. So this is more like a bridge, not a destination. The PoE and the Mobalytics page are linked in the description. If you find this kind of content useful, please consider subscribing. Now, let's get into it. The reason this build works on a budget is that Incinerate has one of the best damage per gem level scaling curves in the game. Paired with a +4 Fireflower unique amulet, and a staff with +6 to all fire spell skill levels, which are easily accessible, we can push the gem to around level 30 with minimal investment. That alone gives us a strong baseline. We also allocated the Blackflame Covenant Keystone, which converts our fire spell damage to chaos and makes Ignite calculate based on chaos damage instead of fire. Since most enemies in the game sit at 0 chaos resistance, we completely bypass the need to worry about lowering their elemental resistance. One important note: after allocating this keystone, the increased fire spell damage modifiers no longer apply. We scale through the increased chaos damage mod instead. The plus levels to all fire spell skills still works normally. This pairs well with the Blackflame unique ring, which received a significant buff this league. It now provides up to 100% increased ignite magnitude. On top of that, the ring now prevents withered stacks from expiring on enemies affected by our ignite. Withered is a debuff we apply through our Withering Presence aura, and each stack increases the chaos damage an enemy takes by 5%, stacking up to 10 times by default for 50% increased damage taken. We also invest in nodes that increase the effect of Withered, pushing that multiplier even further. These stacks persist for the entire ignite duration, which means we get consistent, sustained damage boost, especially against bosses. For single target, Incinerate's compounding ignite mechanic is where the damage peaks. During a single channeling of Incinerate, each new ignite we apply replaces the previous one on the target, but the magnitude multiplies by the total number of ignites compounded. Over a full 5-second channel, this produces rapidly escalating damage that handles pinnacle content. Time freeze allows us to stop bosses' action, stack our buffs, and channel the full duration safely. We can also use Frostflame Nova to refresh the ignite duration while building toward a freeze, keeping the target locked down even longer when time freeze is about to expire. For clearing, Incinerate has always been known for strong damage, but clunky mapping. Our approach addresses that with Tornado. Incinerate can consume a fire infusion to create ignited ground. While that ignited ground is unable to compound ignites, it deals impressive ignite damage, and Tornado picks up that ground effect, carrying the ignite to every enemy it passes through. In practice, we often have 1 or 2 fiery tornadoes sweeping alongside us as we move through the map. It is 2 button presses and not top-tier speed, but it makes mapping with Incinerate feel practical. We generate fire infusions through the Siphon Element Spirit Gem, which has a chance to create a fire remnant whenever we ignite a non-ignited target, and through manually pressing Powered by Verisium when needed, which spends Runic Ward to generate universal infusions. With the damage sorted, let's cover the defense. Our defense is built on Recoup. The Sacrosanctum unique body armor makes our life recoup also apply to energy shield. We stack recoup from the passive tree, from jewel suffixes, and from the belt using perfect essence of insulation. The Fireflower's self-damage is fully countered by this recoup setup. Layered on top of recoup is the Chronomancer's phased form ascendancy node, which provides a direct 30% less damage taken. While we still take a portion of the hit damage after a delay, this node allows large incoming hits to be significantly flattened into smaller, more manageable chunks that our recoup can comfortably handle. Combined with time freeze for boss encounters and general crowd control, survivability is strong in most content, apart from juiced maps with the players have less recovery rate of life and energy shield modifiers. Now let's take a look at the gear. You can find the detailed gear priority list on the Mobalytics page. Here, we will only go over the core items. The Fireflower Amulet needs +4 to all fire spell skill levels. As an option, you may use Soph's Catalyst and Vaal Catalyzing Infuser to push the amulet's quality to plus 25%, and you will get plus 5 to fire spell levels, but there is a risk of corrupting the amulet. The Blackflame ring, as we discussed, is the core damage amplifier. Prioritize the highest ignite magnitude roll and the lowest reduced ignite duration roll. On weapon set 1, we ideally want a chiming staff base for built-in Sigil of Power. It needs plus 6 or higher to all fire spell skill levels and increased spell damage, with extra fire damage and increased magnitude of damaging ailments as the next priorities. We socket runes for plus 1 to all spell skill level and extra chaos damage. Weapon set 2 is a wand with plus 3 or higher to all spell skill levels in the main hand, paired with Arvel's Wheel in the offhand for its increased skill effect duration. This set is exclusively for casting Time Freeze and Despair, where the duration matter most. Our body armor is Sacrosanctum. We want the highest percentage of damage taken recouped as life roll available. Make sure to use this league's runic crafting to add runic ward to it. For the remaining slots, we need resistances across the board, but 2 crafting details are worth calling out. On the gloves, we apply Cyclonic Alloy for increased duration of damaging ailments on enemies, which helps to counter the Blackflame ring's ignite duration penalty. On the belt, we use Perfect Essence of Insulation for percentage of fire damage taken recouped as life, directly feeding into our defensive engine. Gloves and boots should also be converted to runic ward through league crafting, but skip the helmet. Jewels are particularly important. For prefixes, we prioritize increased ignite magnitude and increased magnitude of ailments we inflict. For suffixes, percentage of damage taken recouped as life and increased duration of damaging ailments on enemies. One specific callout, the plus 2 to Incinerate level, Prism of Belief jewel, is extremely cheap right now and should be an immediate pickup. For the passive tree and skill gem links, we won't go through them in detail here. I will only mention that we invest heavily into Recoup nodes, Energy Shield, Chaos Damage, and Ignite-related passives, and Duration Extension. And the skill table is on the screen. Please pause to reference, or check out the PoE and Mobalytics page, linked in description. Now let me walk through the actual gameplay rotation. For mapping, we maintain Fire Infusions through Siphon Elements and powered by Verisium. Channel Incinerate briefly to lay down ignited ground, then cast Tornado to sweep it through packs. The order can be reversed. Tornado first, then immediately channeling Incinerate, with similar results. When entering a new zone, we spam a few Despair Curses to generate initial fuel for Incinerate, since it gains fuel from mana spent on other skills. After that, normal Tornado casts keep fuel topped off. If we are surrounded, Time Freeze plus Flame Blast handles large groups. 2 map modifiers actively hurt this build. Area has multiple Ignite ground effects, causes Tornado to pick up the map's weaker Ignite ground instead of ours. And monsters have increased ailment threshold, makes enemies harder to ignite. Avoid these 2 mods together when possible. For bosses, we drop Sigil of Power, cast Powered by Verisium for Infusions, spam Despair to build fuel while lowering the boss's chaos resistance, then Time Freeze the boss and channel Incinerate for the full duration. After the channel finishes, if the boss is still alive, wait briefly and cast Frostflame Nova to refresh the ignite timer and rapidly stack Freeze, keeping the boss locked down even after Time Freeze ends. If needed, use Time Snap to reset cooldowns and Time Freeze again for another round. Overall, this build is effective and accessible, but it is a transitional setup. Clear speed has a gap compared to top-tier builds. The 2-button clearing takes some getting used to, and the scaling ceiling is limited. We can start transitioning into this as early as level 70, prioritizing the core gear and jewels first. Clear speed will improve significantly once Incinerate's damage is online. While any class starting in the upper hemisphere can technically run this, Chronomancer's combination of Time Freeze for safe bossing and Phased Form for damage mitigation makes it the most stable option. If you have questions or thoughts, let me know in the comments. If this was helpful, please consider a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.